Ultimate Wolverine has proven himself to the Eurasian Republic leaders to be a reliable tool for them to use as their Winter Soldier. But what happens when Logan meets up with someone very dear to him from his past? Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story Series, where you get audio dramas of your favorite comic books, helping you decide what to go out and add to your collection. Today we continue Ultimate Wolverine with issue number 3 by Chris Condon. I hope you enjoy. 17 miles outside of Smolensk, snow falls from the night sky, obscuring the single lamppost that lights the bus stop, throwing shadows that hide the lone figure that waits. But headlights suddenly pierce the darkness and shine brightly on the woman, illuminating her breath as it wafts in the frigid air. The door opens for a man, bundled in a long coat and sporting an eye patch. He regards the woman as his friend slips out of the vehicle, phasing through the door and joining the man. "You know the time, yeah?" Remy says softly. The woman nods, her body shaking from the cold. "It is the day of battle?" she stammers. "Who sent you?" Kitty snaps, leaning close. The woman looks at her and explains that the Archangel told her the opposition was recruiting. "I want to fight," she says, lowering her hood and revealing her red hair. "I can do many things," Natasha Romanov whispers. Meanwhile, in an abandoned sewer tunnel beneath Smolensk, the Winter Soldier stops and sniffs the ground. He growls softly and stands, moving further down the tunnel while the Russian soldiers follow behind him. These soldiers have been given the task of hunting down some of the key leaders of the opposition, Remy LeBeau and Catherine Pride. One of the soldiers stops and glances at his comrade. "Psst, did you get one of these too?" he asks as he holds up a magazine with adamantium bullets. "Oh yeah, we all got them, just in case," the other soldier whispers with a nod. They keep following after the Winter Soldier until he stops. The Winter Soldier doesn't move, just staring ahead at strange flashing lights in the distance. One of the soldiers pulls out his night vision binoculars and peers at the objects. "Those are chess pieces? Chess pieces lining the tunnel. Queens. All queens. Why are they glowing?" he mutters. But suddenly, Logan whirls and grabs him by the vest, lifting him into the air and throwing him down the tunnel. "What the?" the soldiers all shout. The man slams into the ground and rolls to a stop, inches away from one of the chess pieces. It seems to sense his proximity and begins to glow brighter and brighter, and suddenly it explodes. The force of the blast rips away the man's skin and turns his bones to ash. Logan watches as the explosion sets off the other pieces, and the explosive wave ripples down the tunnel. In the nearby base, Remy and Kitty look up sharply from their loading truck. "What was that?" Kitty asks as the entire base shakes. "The mines. Badman's here," Remy tells her. They turn, shouting for the opposition soldiers to hold the doors to the tunnel. "Their mines'll slow him down, but we gotta get moving, like yesterday," Remy shouts. Kitty nods and orders Natasha to get in the truck and get it started. "On it," Natasha says as she rushes across the base and hops behind the wheel of the truck. She turns the key, but the old vehicle refuses to start. "Oh, come on! I just escaped! Tell me you don't want to get me caught," she whispers. Kitty gets into the back of the truck, but Remy reaches for her. "You'll be okay," he whispers. She smiles as she closes the door, but phases through it long enough to kiss him. "Come on, I always slip on through," she tells him. Remy smiles and turns away, shouting for the soldiers to prepare to fight. He runs over to the security monitors, shocked to find one man stepping through the smoke and debris. "One man? This is crazy," he whispers. He points at the shadowy image, noting that it looks like the man is armed with knives. "This don't feel good," he says. He turns back as the blast door begins to shake. Suddenly, there is the sound of rending metal as 3 adamantium claws cut through the heavy doors as if they were paper. Remy glances back at the truck. The engine is still struggling to turn over. "Man, why ain't that truck moved?" he grumbles. He rushes towards it, waving his arms. "Hey, we best get this show on the road. We want to see another day, yeah?" he shouts. Another set of claws rips through the wall. Remy whirls back as the metal tears more, and the Winter Soldier kicks through. He reaches into his coat, pulling out a pack of playing cards. My, what big claws you have," Remy sneers as he ignites 2 of the cards. The opposition soldiers move to intercept the Winter Soldier, but he slices through them quickly, blood showering his uniform. Remy leaps onto the truck and tosses the cards, letting them slam into the ground at the Winter Soldier's feet and detonate. The truck has finally started, and Natasha revs the engine, screeching off into the snowy night. She glances over as the truck door opens and Remy slides into the passenger seat. Too close. Knew a guy with claws like that once. Bone instead of metal. Dead now, though," he whispers as he glances in the rear view, unable to see the Winter Soldier quickly following behind them. Logan leaps through the air and lands on the back of the truck, using his claws to slice through the lock and slide open the door. But he pauses as he stares at the cargo. Kitty Pryde stands ready, protecting a group of mutant children. "The Rasputins have no right to these children," she shouts, but her eyes suddenly widen as she stares at the clawed figure. "Oh my f***ing God! Logan?" she gasps, but Logan doesn't hesitate. He rushes forward and stabs at the woman with his claws, but Kitty easily allows him to phase through her. "Logan, stop!" she shouts as he keeps trying to stab her. Kitty suddenly reaches out and phases her hand through Logan's head. "Logan, if that's you, I don't know what happened to you, but if it is, why don't you remember me?" she shouts. The hands move through his mind, and Logan suddenly goes rigid with pain. Images flash before his eyes. Growing up on a farm, a woman he loves, fighting against the Rasputins, and being captured. The Winter Soldier falls away, collapsing to the truck bed as he gasps for breath, the mask pulled away from his face. Kitty stares at him for a moment before rushing forward and kicking him off the truck. "I'm sorry," she calls as he falls out of the truck. "Till we meet again." Logan slams into the ground and rolls before finally coming to a stop in the snow and staring up at the night sky. A voice calls out in his mind. "Logan, why don't you remember?" the voice whispers. And that is where issue 3 leaves us. A glimpse into Logan's past has been revealed, but is this enough to break him from the mind control? Or is Logan cursed with being forced to hunt his former friends? You'll just have to find out next time when Ultimate Wolverine issue 4 comes to the channel, so be sure to subscribe to get notifications when that happens. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.